First of all, I would like to point out that it's not just the United States that is in this severe of an economic recession. There are many other countries who had much higher employment rates, and I definitely agree that the entire world is in the worst possible situation after the 2008 Great Depression. What I would like to say is what we're doing is we initially provided a fiscal stimulus of to everyone of $1,200 to every United States citizen who's not dependent on any other individual. We also eased restrictions on unemployment benefits. The United States has some of the most liberal unemployment and social security benefits prevalent anywhere in the world. We've eased restrictions on that. We've extended the tax deadline from April 1 to July 15, so that people do not have to worry about filing their taxes in this period. We've asked people to forego rents. We are very liberal in allowing force majeure clauses to be invoked in leases governing commercial, governing residential housing, and governing government contracts. And that is what the United States is doing to address those most vulnerably affected.
People of China are doing. They're directly investing into markets which they think can be profitable after the pandemic like moves away, or maybe the people are allowed to roam about and people are about to start their operations. So that is what the ideology of China is. We cannot provide what you're saying is that we'll not be able to do anything. 80% of what US produces, all the supply chain goes to China. So obviously, the United States of America has been trusting China in the entire supply chain that goes through it, and that's what
I'm not talking about big hospitality chains like JW Marriott or ITC, but the small hospitality companies that are the ones that are bearing the brunt of this COVID-19 situation. So they have been extended enough credit by the Indian government to fund their working capital requirements so that they don't lay off their workers. And there is also an additional line of credit being offered by several other ministries when it comes to the hospitality industry. We're also generating demand for hospitality industry when it comes to quarantine centers that are used in these multinational hotels, especially in Delhi and Bombay. So there are contracts with hospitality chains like JW Marriott and ITC where their hotels are being used as an infrastructure for quarantine centers. So, and the Indian government is paying for it. So there are substantial steps being taken by the Indian government to
as you mentioned that we've gathered here to discuss economic conditions in the IMF and the World Bank are jointly there to provide us with loans, are jointly there to help us out of the financial crisis. And I feel that the recovery fund that we have come up with is in direct correlation with what the IMF does. Secondly, you said from where are we getting funds? Then let me tell you that we are a country which has a lot of public debt, which we plan to repay fairly. Secondly, we wish to use the ESM, that is the European Stability Mechanism, without any conditionality and with support of the EU. Then, as we hear in the IMF provides rapid credit facility, that is RFI and rapid financial instrument, the RFI. IMF, as we requested a few days back to the IMF for the expansion of the funds for the poorest countries, it has understood our request and it has adhered to our request, and from there, these are the sources where we are getting our funds. Secondly, when you talked about climate change, sir, I mentioned in my speech that when we look into the origins of the coronavirus, then it is mentioned that it has a direct correlation with the flaws that are there in the climate change. And when I talked about how we wish to use bicycles and not public transport, it is there to reduce second wave of coronavirus, which might be there in case we do not follow social distancing norms. The point that I mentioned about climate change is in correlation with how we can prevent the second wave of coronavirus, and that's why it was mentioned. I hope that answers your question.